Yes, good afternoon and a good lunch for all of us who are watching us. This is the Corporate Career Academy, and in our professional arena today, we are focusing on career in computing and information technology. With us here are experts in the area of IT and information technology. They'll be sharing their knowledge. We wish to appreciate this time those who have joined us on this live chat. We have students from University of Nairobi, students who have joined us from the Technical University of Kenya, Chuka University, students who have joined us from Kimotho University, to mention just a few. Thank you very much for tuning in to this session. The aim of this career academy is to let students understand what happens in the corporate career, get to understand the challenges they may face when they come to the Corporate Career Academy, and as we try to bring academia and the industry into one platform so that all of us can be able to share. So with me today, I have experts, and I give them room to just introduce themselves. But should you have a question, you can also share it you can share it on the chat on Facebook and on our YouTube channel. For those who are following us, my name is Livingston Makori. I run the Corporate Career Academy as an initiative, and again, focusing on all the professions. And today we are focusing on career in IT and information technology. Thank you very much. I'll start by introducing our guests today. And I start from my far corner with our Dr. Grace. You can introduce yourself. We call you doctor because you are the most learned in this.
Thank you, and good afternoon, participants and moderators. My name is Grace Lea Okundi. I'm a lecturer. I work in Technical University of Kenya. And we are here as a team to mentor students, to empower students, especially computing and IT students in all universities, both public and private in the country, actually in Kenya. So I'm also here representing a team of ladies who are actually scholars, lecturers in computing and IT in universities in the country. They have a group called Women Scholars in Technology. So they're part of the organizers of this team. So welcome viewers and welcome students, and I urge you to all be let's make this an interactive participation and webinar, and let's hope for a better, even more fruitful and more interactive and collaborative future sessions with even industry experts. Welcome and thank you.
Hello, Grace. So
hello.
Yes, you're back again. Sorry.
Oh, you couldn't hear me well, huh? Okay, so thank you, viewers, thank you, participants. My name is Grace Lea Kinyi. I'd introduced myself earlier, but I'm from Technical University of Kenya, and we are here to empower you students. Today we're targeting computing and IT students in all private and public universities countrywide. And our main theme for running this session is to help you and guide you in your career choices in the computing domain, and even empower you and even become your mentors. So this session, it's an online session, but we hope that at the end of the day, you're going to feel empowered, motivated, and even uplifted in your career, in your ICT career. So thank you, and feel welcome in this session.
Thank you very much, Grace, for coming to the session. I will take this chance to introduce Caro. Caro, you can take it over from there.
Good afternoon, participants. My name is Caro Kiruri, coming from Britam. I'm a business intelligence analyst, basically dealing with data, transformation, loading, the whole ITIL process and reporting.
Wow, and thank you very much.
A successful session.
Thank you very much, Caro. I know we'll also get to learn more. And I also want to introduce now the king of IT, the king of computing himself, James Kimotho. Welcome, and introduce yourself.
Thank you very much, Livingstone, for that. My name is James Kimotho. I am in Britam, same as Caro. I am the manager in charge of IT applications in the different countries, the 7 countries that Britam has its footprints on. So we manage the application portfolio. And for those who don't know what applications are, these are computer programs that have been designed implement business logic, the ones that run organizations. All these organizations you see around, they are always run using applications. And these are the applications that we support. These are the applications that we develop to ensure that they meet the business need and they are able to embed the business rules to ensure that organizations run optimally. So we will be sharing a lot of information in the session. I look forward for a more engaging session, and we'll be able to answer as many questions as we'll be able to during the time that has been allocated. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much, James. Now we'll go to the presentation, and I'll wish to recognize those who have joined us. You can make your comment on the Facebook live page or the YouTube channel. Make your comment, let us know what we can adjust, if there's anything, any question you have for us, any suggestions for future engagements like this. Also subscribe to our YouTube channel, like it and share with friends and those who want to learn more about career, so that we are able to make informed career decisions. So I'll want straight on to move to Kimotho to take us through now what are the careers in computing, and just giving us a brief about it. So James, welcome. You can take it over and give us what are the careers in computing, so that those who are interested can know, if I study computing or IT, where do I end up? Kimotho, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Livingstone. And I will request that you, in case because of network issue, in case there's any network issue, you can alert me. But I believe that I have good connectivity and we should not have any problem. When I heard about this session, I was very interested. And one of the things that makes me very interested to continue motivating young people, especially young professionals in the computer field, is because I do not want most of them to go through what some of us went through. I remember the first time I filled in, when I finished high school, and I filled in a career in IT, and I was called to pursue the same career at Maseno University. I remember one of my friends asked me, so what is the difference between computer science and technology and computer packages? Sincerely, I didn't have idea. I couldn't even understand why one person can go and do packages within 1 month or 2 months and get a certificate, and you need to go through 4 years. So it was still very vague to me, and I did not understand what is computer science, even once I go through this computer science and technology field, what are some of the opportunities that are out there in the market that I can actually be able to take advantage of. So those are the things that give us the burden to ensure that we can talk to you and give you our experience. Our experience does not mean that we are the people who have made it in life. It's just giving you our experience so that you can ride on it and even become greater even ourselves. So that is the objective. And without spending a lot of time, I'll go directly into background. So as I indicated, I studied computer science and technology at Maseno University. I think I graduated around 2008. Once I finished my degree at Maseno, I started off as a software developer, a junior software developer, developing on Oracle software. Then after 1 year, I moved and became a senior developer before moving into software implementation. So software development is very good, it's very engaging. It engages your mind, but I needed now to move out because the developer was more of a back office function, and I also wanted to move also to the front office. So I moved to software implementation, and the company that I was working with during that time was able to send me to do implementations outside Kenya. I've done implementations in Nigeria and also in Ghana. So when I came back as a product manager for the product that we were developing. But after 2 years, I moved to KCB, and at KCB, we were creating a new business channel called bank assurance. So bank assurance is where insurance banks sell insurance. Instead of going to an insurance company, you can actually be able to go to a bank and be able to get the insurance cover from the bank. So this is the concept that KCB was implementing, and I was the first IT manager to start off the insurance arm, and my work was clearly cut out to ensure that the agency is up and running from a technology perspective, and ensure that it has the right systems to be able to grow that small business into a business that will be able to take over the market. And currently, KCB Bancassurance, KCB Insurance Agency is the second largest bancassurance in the country after Equity. And I think based on the progress made recently, I believe they are almost at par. After that, I moved to Britam, and I moved to Britam to do support, to be the manager in charge of business systems. Business systems are line of business specific systems. These are systems that implement the logic of life insurance, general insurance. So they help the organization embed all the rules into the system, so that in case a customer, let's say, comes to get a certificate for their motor vehicle, or they come for a cover for their house, like a domestic package, they can be implemented in the system. So those are the systems that we were supporting. Then I moved, now after that, I moved to the enterprise application, my current role, where I'm not only looking at the business systems, I'm also looking at the enterprise systems. These are also systems that are used across the regions. I indicate that Britam is in 7 countries. So they are ERP system, enterprise resource planning systems for finance, procurement, HR, payroll, so across all the portfolio. So that is the work I do, and I have a team that I work together with to ensure that we manage that. My typical day, majorly I do application portfolio management and also project management. So I'll be managing project tasks, at the same time ensuring that the systems are available. So it's anytime you go to let's say a bank, and you are trying to do a transaction, let's say using a mobile phone, and you see that the system is currently not available. Those are now the challenges that we face as people who are responsible of ensuring that applications are available. So you have to ensure that at any point, if customers are using portals, or they are coming to your office, or they are doing the transactions from wherever they are, you have to ensure that applications are up and available. You ensure that we have at least 99.9% availability. That is what we normally guarantee. In IT, there's no way you can actually guarantee 100% availability, because we normally say that there are things that will come that are unforeseen. Some of them are internal, some of them are external. So you can actually be able to guarantee a 99.9% availability, but not able to guarantee 100% availability. So that is my career background. Just to give you a snippet before I go to the careers that I wanted us to go through this session. I will put a disclaimer even as I go into this careers in IT. You will find that most of the careers that I will talk about are in the software industry. It's very thin on the hardware side. So IT is actually quite broad. And if you look at the way people normally talk about IT, people normally think that IT is one thing. It's the way you can actually go and do law. You see, if you go and do law, you become a lawyer, and you will graduate through the ranks and become an advocate, and you go to the bench at the bar. But if you look at IT, IT is one big amorphous area that actually you cannot even be able to exhaust. There are so many domains, there are so many knowledge areas within IT such that if you go into it and you are not focused, you can actually be able to get lost in that. And that's why we have such sessions to ensure that we can be able to demystify this. So I indicated as a disclaimer, I don't have a lot of areas on the hardware side, but I'll talk about the software area. I think this is where actually this is the most broad of the IT fields that most of you will be looking at. The first career I'll talk about is security professionals. Information security is becoming a very, very important facet in our industry currently because a lot of transactions are currently being done online. So security professionals doing IT security, where you can be able to guarantee and give an assurance to the business that your data is secure. That is one of the top professionals that we have currently in the industry. We have several courses that can prepare you for this. I'll talk about how you can actually be able to find out on that. But information security is one of the most critical areas that you need to look out for. The second one is cloud computing, the cloud architect. Basically, everyone is moving from on-premise to the cloud. You are moving all your information to the cloud. This is either a private or a public. I believe most of you have already read about this. And most organizations do not want to maintain a very expensive data center where you are buying servers. Those servers you see in organizations are usually very expensive. You can even find one server is around 500 million. Just for a small organization, buying a server at 500 million, even being able to get return on investment, maybe you are in the insurance industry or you are in any other industry, getting return on investment is very hard. But investing in cloud, where we talk about subscription, where you are just accessing servers and you are paying on the go, so that in case in future you do not have the resources, you can actually be able to drop the service. So cloud architects are usually become very, very important in the industry. Artificial intelligence, I'll talk about this in detail when we are talking about robotics. AI intelligence, if I were you, this is one of the quick and low-hanging fruits that you need to pick out. AI industry is really growing. It's one of the youngest industry and it's really growing fast because robots are now picking up the software industry. For long, we have had robots doing the hardware industry. Most of you already know that companies like Toyota, they use robots to manufacture the vehicles, but now robots are coming into the software industry. I'll talk about that when I'll be discussing about the robotics. Database administrator, most of the organizations run through systems that are database driven. So being a database administrator, understanding database, Oracle, Microsoft SQL. So we have several databases that you can be able to manage. There are very few good database administrators in the country, by the way. This is one of the areas that actually I would recommend that you go into. System analyst, this is someone who will be analyzing requirements. Almost all organizations nowadays must get a system analyst. This is someone who bridges between the business and IT. Sometimes the IT people do not understand the business language. So you need an analyst who can actually be able to bridge. You understand the business problem and you are able to conceptualize the solutions that can actually be able to solve those problems that the business have. That is the work of a system analyst. Project management is very key and is one of the most marketable domains in IT. Every company at the beginning of every year, they come up with the projects that they want to run. Project management involves you now being given a project, told that you need to run through this project, manage the scope, manage the time, manage the budget, and ensure that the project is delivered. Not only delivered, but successfully delivered. A lot of projects, especially in IT, fail, and personally, I've seen a lot of projects that have actually failed. So project management is one of the most important domains. A mobile application developer, I cannot overemphasize on this. You can see a lot of services nowadays are coming to the mobile. You can see you are now banking on the mobile. You are buying your insurance on the mobile. If you want to check your grades, you want to check them on the mobile. Being a mobile application developer is one of the most sought out professional. This is my second slide on the top careers. But remember, there are many. There are more than 50, but these are just the top ones that I've been able to pick up. Software developer. We have talked about someone who can actually be able to code. And I believe most of you, especially most of you in universities, you have done this software development. And software development is never taught in the university. And never think about your lecturer and software development. It's not the work of your lecturer to teach you software development. So they will give you the concept, they will give you the basics. Then it's upon you to go into that. We have a lot of contents online, and you can actually be able to train yourself on software developers. For me, in my experience, I've met a lot of people who are very good software developers, but they have never done IT. And to give you an example, like my team, the team I manage currently, I have 3 people who are not IT. They didn't do IT, but they actually, through their personal initiatives, they went and they did their own research. They have understood code, and they now can only be able to code as well as someone who has gone to university to do computer science. So don't think that you have an advantage because you are in a computer science class. Everybody out there who has the right initiative and who knows how to Google, how to look for the right resources, can actually be able to come in and do development and even do it better than yourself. So don't look at yourself being special, being in computer. Anyone with the right attitude and initiative can actually be able to take it up. We have a new domain called DevOps, where you are merging development and operations. A DevOps engineer. So most companies are moving into faster deployments, faster deliveries, and these are the people who are now responsible for this. They are able to do development, they are able to do operations at the same time. So it's one of the new areas that are coming up. We have soft areas like what I've said there about help desk and desktop support. So this one is usually for generalists, someone who are not really specialized. Most of the help desk, most of the companies normally deploy a help desk. It's like the customer care you have when you call Safaricom. We have a customer place where they can first of all pick your issue before it's escalated to the second level. So most companies have that first level, and that first level is what we call a service desk. A blockchain engineer, as you know, already they have said that by 2023, blockchain technology is expected to reach 15.9 billion. So this is one of the areas that is really growing, and you can actually be able to look into it. System architect, for most organizations, you need to ensure that you can be able to architect your solutions very well to meet the business need. So it's not about just bringing systems from different vendors. You need to come up with a very good architecture to ensure that all these systems jigsaw very well and they are able to support the business objective. This is the work of the system architect, to look at that map and architect. The same way an architect draws a house, they are able to say the kitchen will be here, the toilet will be here. This is the same way the architect will do. Just architect the whole design of how solutions will be implemented in the organization and ensure that throughout they are able to police to ensure everybody is following up on that. Big data, my friend Carol will talk more about it. Very marketable. She'll also talk about the data scientists. That is what they do a lot on the big data and also on the analytic field. It's very marketable. As I said, I have not put a lot of hardware courses, but you can actually be able to look them out. I believe a lot of this information is already there, and we are ready there to guide you in terms of ensuring that you choose the right career that you need to focus on. There's one generic rule that I always like called Pareto Principle, and this is usually called the 80-20 rule. This is a rule that tells you that 80%, it normally tells you that 80% of your problems is usually caused by 20% of the causes. That is how I can actually be able to summarize it. So this rule talks about focus, ensuring that you can remain focused. So if you look at the causes I've just talked about, there are so many. If you do not actually focus, you will actually be lost in those courses. You can actually be a jack of all trades and a master of none, and nobody actually in the IT industry wants to get someone who is not a master of anything. So basically, you need to look at that, look at your focus, and you need to have the focus of a lion. That's what we are talking about in this slide. When you talk about the focus of a lion, if you look at the way the lion charges at, let's say, the gazelles, so what the lion does is, first of all, to identify this is the gazelle is going after, and it will actually pursue that gazelle with all the energy. This is the expectation, that you need to look at those areas, understand your passion, and then go after it. And that's what I've talked about in this slide, that you need, first of all, to know your passion. What is that thing that you would want to wake up every day and do? Don't do a career, don't do a course, don't do something that every morning you will now be struggling to wake up because you don't feel what you are doing. You don't feel like you are making an impact in the society. You don't feel like you are making impact in yourself. You need to pick out that area where you look at it and even yourself, you feel like you have that drive for that area. It's very important for you to remain focused. So you can, we are always ready in case you pick an area and it's not clear for you. We can actually be able to help you to deep dive into it. it's important to find the requirements for the field. So for each of these courses that I've talked about, we have different expectations from a qualification perspective. You have different certifications that you need to do. Like the certifications you need to do to be in help desk is different from what you need to do to be a data scientist. It's different from what you need to do for you to be a security leader. So it's very difficult for you to just go into these areas without specialization. So first of all, once you understand your area, you need to deep dive into it, understand what people are doing in the market, find the requirement for that specific field. What is required? Which kind of certifications do I need? The IT industry grows each and every day. And if you do not, we normally say that if you do not upskill yourself, if you are not getting yourself, basically you are actually getting worse. In other areas, in other domains, if you do not upgrade yourself, you remain stagnant. But in IT is the other way around. If you don't upgrade yourself, you continue dipping, you continue going down, because people are upgrading themselves at a very fast rate. Technology is coming every day and you may become obsolete. So it's very important for you to always ensure that you upskill yourself. So first of all, identify what are those requirements that are needed for the specific area I've picked, then now pursue those courses and ensure that you are very good at what you are doing. There's a joke that I'm sure most of you have been seeing going around in the internet, asking you who led the digital transformation in your company. And most of the people will say that it's COVID-19. And this is what happened last year. Most companies used to see IT and technology as something that is in the IT server room somewhere there. They can actually be able to continue with their business without IT. But when COVID came and we needed to reduce contact and we needed to work from home, this is where now all organizations started jumping at digital transformation. And I can tell you, digital transformation is not an option, because when you are told by the government you need to work from home, if you have systems that do not support digital transformation, then your company is doomed, and actually your company is headed for failure. And some of the trends we have seen especially during these COVID periods, and these are what we are saying, COVID has had a lot of negatives, and we have lost a lot of friends and relatives to COVID. But from a technology and transformation perspective, we have actually gained in terms of adoption. People have even seen IT people are serious. And I can tell you, even myself, at my church where I go, we now even have an IT office, which I head. So basically, people have now started seeing that you cannot not actually do without technology. You can see even now, most of the churches now, they have to project their services online. This is just showing you that there's no way you can actually be able to avoid digital transformation. You have seen digital and contactless payments where people do not need to go and queue there to get transactions done. Sales are being done through digital channels and platforms. We have work from home. This is what we are calling the new normal. All of us here, we are actually working from home, even currently. I have not been to the office for so many months. So this is what we are calling work from home. And people are now able to collaborate. We are able to work. We are able actually to be efficient working from home than even working from the office. Distance learning, you can see schools are adopting technology for that. And I also talked about the robotics adoption. People are now adopting robotics. And this is where I'll go to my last topic, which is robotics, before I hand over to Carol. I just wanted to talk about, we just wanted to talk about these two areas, but we have a lot of other areas that are emerging. But the ones that we wanted to talk about in this session, because of course of the constraint of time, is robotics and also the data analytics and the big data. So if you look at the industry has been growing. We have what we call Industry 1.0. We used to read this in history. It was called the Industrial Revolution. We have Industry 2.0. This is where electricity was being invented. we have the industry 3.0. This is where we are talking about computers, where the computer was invented, and we had the internet era, where people used to be fascinated about computers and also about the internet. But now we are moving a notch higher. We are no longer again at the computer and the internet level. We are now at the digital transformation level. And when we talk about digital transformation, we are talking about a digital economy. So a digital economy is an economy that is purely led through digital. So we are moving away from paper-based, we are moving away from server-based, we are moving to a digital economy. This is where we are talking about cyber security. We talked about the security analysts. We are talking about artificial intelligence, advanced robotics, and also automation. And I'm talking about robots because it's one of the areas that if you go to the market today, if you go to any bank, insurance company, everybody is actually talking about robots currently in the industry. So this is something that you cannot be able to ignore, and you can actually be able to take advantage of. When I talk about robotics, most of you will expect to see a machine that looks like those Robocop that we used to see, that is walking around like a robot. But when I talk about robotic process automation, which is RPA, this is where you are deploying a tool that will be able to automate repeatable business processes. When we talk about automating repeatable business processes, is something that you are coming and saying that, James, this is what I do on a daily basis. And it's very good for you to look at what you do on a daily basis. What you do on a daily basis, can it be automated? Does it require thinking, or is it something that can actually be automated through a robot? So most of these RPA is where you look at those tasks that require a lot of human intervention. Then you can actually be able to automate that. Let's look at an example of a bank. If you go to the bank, people fill an application form. Then once you fill that application, you have somebody there at the desk, look out the form, confirm that you have entered everything, now start capturing that data into the system manually while you sit there. That task does not require any thinking. I'm sure even that person is usually thinking about other things at home while they are serving you, because that task does not require their thinking. This is where now this robotic process automation is coming in. Those repeatable processes that can actually be done by a robot are being handed over to robots. And the benefits of robotics, of course, there's greater accuracy, we have quality improvement, and we also have better compliance. So this is not a concept that I'm talking about that is a trend that is coming. This is something that is currently implemented in Kenya, and most organizations have already started utilizing it. And if you look at the difference between robots and humans, remember, a human will work for 8 hours in a day. They will complain about traffic. They will need to go 1 hour lunch, but a robot works for 24 hours. Imagine the number of transactions a robot can capture in 24 hours. This is what we are talking about. Work done by human normally are prone to errors. You find somebody in the morning, they work very well. Everything they did from 3 p.m., there are a lot of mistakes. But robots do not make mistakes. They are able to repeat whatever they have been told to do. And that's why they are able to pick that. And humans easily get bored. And they get bored. And once they get bored, they move on. They tend to move on. But the robot is able to do repetitive tasks. It's able to do them at a high quality, and it's able to produce better performance. So this is an example of a robot. I don't know whether I'll be able to play this. Just 1 second, just to show you what a robot can do. So just to show you that a robot can do what a man can do. So this is a robot logging into a system. So you can see how fast that one goes. So it wants to create a new transaction, clicks next, selects. You can see the speed at which the robot is moving. So you can now start seeing why human is placed. So you can see the speed at which it's keying in the field. Selecting the required fields based on that have been fed on it. Entering the detail, quite fast. It's reading from a form. So it's picking the details from a form and transforming them into a system. Okay, so it has all the mandatory information very quickly, and within 1 minute, it has already completed the transaction it needs to move on to transaction. That is what we are talking about when we talk about robotics and what is new. So for robotics, for those who are interested in the robotic industry, we already have free trainings. There's an organization called UiPath. You may need to write it down. So UiPath, they have something called a UiPath Academy. You can actually be able to read about robots, and actually you can be able to download your own free robot and use it to test some of things that are usually repetitive. Remember, the work of IT is to provide solutions to the business. You can actually be able to provide solutions to the business by automating most of the tasks they do and ensuring that they can be able to be efficient, serve their customers. Because if the business is efficient, they're able to serve the customers, everything grows, including the profits of the organization. So basically, that's my presentation. I'll allow my colleague Carol to take over from there. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you so much, Kimotho. I want to believe my screen is visible.
Yes, it is. It's very visible. Maybe put it on presentation mode. Yes.
Just a minute. So as I said, my name is Carol Kiruri. I'm a business analyst, a business intelligence analyst in Britam. My profession is basically doing a lot of reporting and analysis. But just to begin with, I hold a bachelor's degree in business information technology from KEMU. I'm also a certified business intelligence, Oracle business intelligence profession. I have also other certificates like Oracle certifications from IST, which are not indicated here. Talking of my career journey, I started my career at KMTC. I was a basic IT officer. That is where I began from. And by that time, I was like doing everything from networking to software to everything. So in the process, that is when I identified that I am more of a programmer or a software person than a hardware person. And that is when I went to Southern Credit and started doing Oracle and Oracle databases. Then I went to KQ and did, and I was working as a developer, EBS developer, that is Enterprise Business Systems developer, which I was specializing on Oracle financials. Then later moved to Britam as a business intelligence analyst, and that is where I am till now. So my main job at Britam, or rather my day-to-day work at Britam, is basically gathering the requirements of the business and the report in terms of reporting needs, consolidating those requirements and identifying the sources of data, and then putting that data together, transforming it and reporting, coming up with reports and analysis that can help in making decisions. So I want to talk about big data and data analytics. So what is big data? When we talk of big data, we talk about large sets of data that can be analyzed to provide patterns and trends and association of human interactions in different ways. So this data is in all forms. It can be structured, unstructured, semi-structured, or unstructured. And when you talk about those three, it can be structured, meaning that it's organized in a very clear way, like the way you can find data in a table. Semi-structured is both not organized and organized data, and then unstructured is completely not organized data, like the way we find data in audios and videos, such things. So when we talk about big data, it's not just the amount of data that we we're talking about. We're also talking about how that data can help the organization in making some of the decisions that they make. So it helps in giving insights to the organization. And some of the characteristics of big data here, we're talking about volume in terms of how much data does the organization have, like how much do they collect, and is it meaningful to them? So when we talk about volume, volume is the amount of data that the organization has, and it can be from any source. We'll get to that. The other characteristic is velocity, the speed at which you get data. Remember, data is all over, and it's flowing in every time, every second. So at what speed do you manage to get that data and determine and process it and make use of it to provide information? Then the last one is variety. So we have all these sources of data from all over. It can be within the organization, out of the organization. You may have to talk to the government to give you information. You may have to talk to private companies to give you information. You may have to go to the social media to get information from there. So all that is all the sources are a characteristic of big data. Then we can go to the other. Just before I go to data analytics, let me talk slightly about variety. And don't forget, what I wanted to add on that is about videos and audios, that you can get data from all those sources. So when we talk about data analytics, and when you talk about data analytics, that was about big data. And when you talk about data analytics, is now you have all this data from the sources that you've gotten from, and it's seated somewhere in your databases or in your maybe a data warehouse somewhere in your organization. How will you make use of that data once it is there? Because there's no need of having that data seated there and you're filling up space, you're using resources and such things, and then you don't make anything out of it. So that is where data analytics comes in, whereby you examine that raw data that you have and make conclusions based on it. So make decisions, model it, clean it, transform it, and make those decisions. So one of the phases, some of the phases that you have in the data analytics is data requirements. That is what I talked about. I had mentioned gathering requirements from the business or from your customers in finding out what they really want to see. They may not be aware of how to get to their end results, but they just want to see maybe how is this product performing against this other product. How you will get there, they don't know, but the requirement is how is this product performing against this other product. So the next phase, once you get those requirements, is to go to the data collection. You go find out, where can I get this data from? Which systems does this data sit in? Do I need some modification of some systems to be able to capture this particular kind of data? So you do that data collection. Then the next thing is data cleaning. So once you have that data, it can be in duplicate, so you remove the duplicates. It can be incomplete, ensure it is complete. So that's all about cleaning. And then analyzing that data, exploring more of what you've already collected and cleaned. So you analyze and say, oh, maybe you analyze what you've already collected, and then modeling. This is about coming up with mathematical formulas to come up with some insights out of it. So for example, when I talk about a customer, I can talk about a customer in different ways. I would want to see maybe customers that are between a certain particular age or maybe less than 18, but I don't have their ages in the system or from wherever I'm taking data from. That means I have to have their date of birth and do that calculation to get their age. Remember, at the end of the day, the manager out there or the users of the data don't really want to know when you were born, like the date of your birth, but they would want to know your age. So that kind of transformation is what I'm calling about modeling. Then eventually you need to communicate that output to your customers or your users of the data. So this can be done in terms of in form of reports or graphical presentation, that is graphs, pie charts, and such things. So that at the end of the day, you have gotten all the requirements, gotten the data, and now you're giving back to what can make sense to the users of the information. Then some of the skills that you may require to do this, it's a wide field. It's a very wide field, and we may not even cover everything here. But some of the skills that you may require in this big data and data analytics is analytical skills, to be able to determine, to make sense of data and determine what data is relevant, because you also don't pick everything. Another thing is you need computer science. Of course, you need to know how to process the data into the various insights. You also need business skills. You need to understand the business and their objectives, their strategy, because you remember you're getting this data for use by the business. You require the programming skills to be able to do those algorithms, the mathematical things. You also require statistical skills and mathematics, data wrangling skills, to be able to map that data and convert it into a way that is meaningful. And then you need communication skills and data visualization to be able to communicate that information to the end user or to the people who require these insights. So if I move to the next slide of why do we need big data and why do we need data analytics? Data is one of the key things that is being used to make decisions. Like, for example, for you to decide whether to improve on a product or something of the sort, you can't just wake up in the morning and say, let's change this or let's improve this. So it has to be based on data. So one of the reasons that we require this big data and analytics is boost customer acquisition and retention. Remember, you have competitors around you. You have other industries doing the same thing that you're doing. You have other companies in your industry doing the same things that you're doing. And you have to be sure that once you acquire a customer, you are in a position to retain them so that they also don't go to your competitor. So you're trying to boost, to allow business and observe various customer patterns so that you also retain them. The next thing is cost saving. We have tools that are used to store this data, and because of these tools, you're able to save costs. For example, if I collect data today and I want to use it, I don't have to go back and I want to use it some other time, maybe tomorrow. I don't have to go back and collect it again. So in that way, you're able to save costs. There's time reduction, especially in decision making. You're able to provide an insight, and from that insight, make a decision out of it. Then the other thing, importance is understand the market conditions. As I said, they're competitors, so you need to know what are you doing different from your competitor. And then control online reputation. Here we're talking about if you want to move a product, to monitor or improve a product, you can get a product, you can get feedback from online platforms which you can use and you can work with and analyze those kinds of feedback and now improve or change your product. Then the other last point is, of course, there are many other points, but you are able to drive innovation and product development. So all this cannot happen without the data. So you require that data. And I think that was the last point, but I can give examples of what big data and analytics have impacted. Like, for example, in education, we have big data and analytics. Analytics has been helped in career prediction. You can be able to tell, like, this kind of profession has a number of people than this other one. So maybe in education we need to train these sets of courses. You can also be able to have customized learning programs. This is all about data. For example, in insurance industry, you can be able to get information about fraud management, gaining customer insights. In government, you can get in banking, you can get issues about cards, maybe debit card and credit cards information. Risk mitigation, also fraud also applies there. So those are some of the examples that I can give at the top of my head, where data has transformed in many different ways. So unless there's any question on big data, I wish to stop from there.
Yes, so thank you very much for the well-elaborate discussion on data and analytics. I've also learned there are some few skills I need as someone in the insurance industry so that I can analyze data, as the law of large numbers says. So I'll wish to take this time now to answer some few questions, the few that we have here. Peter Maina is asking if I can acquire skills through online. Maybe Kimotho, you can answer this. Huh? If I can acquire skills through online platforms, then why should I be in the university?
Yes, that's by the way a very good question. It may look like it's not a good question, but it's actually a very good question. Internationally, in fact, some of the trends that are happening outside Kenya, this is not something happening in Kenya. Things that are happening outside Kenya, a lot of companies are now hiring people without them being graduates. Especially in the IT industry, a lot of people can actually be able to make it without having to go to the university. However, that is in Kenya, it's a requirement for you for most of the jobs that you need to apply for. It's a mandatory that first of all you have a degree. So a degree is usually a mandatory, irreducible minimum. You must have a degree for you to work in a bank, for you to work in an insurance company. Most of them, it's usually a mandatory that you have a degree. Secondly, university. What a university does, unlike what you are talking about, specialization, a university gives you the broad perspective. The university does not go to train you in a certain area. So they just give you that broad perspective for you to interact with different people in different areas and also understand what is there outside the outside whatever you know. Like now you are in this session because you are in the university and you are part of those groups. If you finished Form 4 and you started reading on your own and you would be somewhere near your village, I'm sure you wouldn't be having a lot of information, knowing outside here what is happening and what are those trends that we have in the market. So it's important for you to finish your degree. It will give you that broad perspective, that thinking of openness in thinking, and also being aware that you can actually venture into any other field. But the degree is not a hindrance. It's not a requirement for you to venture into the IT industry. Remember what we said, that we have even people who did other degrees which are not technology related, but through their initiative and passion, they have actually moved to the different careers we have in IT. For now, I wouldn't advise you to drop out of university, continue with your university education, get that degree, then you can actually be able to pursue your passion. But even now, as you pursue that degree, identify your area and start the specialization.
Maxwell is saying he agrees with what we are saying, but there's one more addition from Kiprono. Maybe you can comment on that, Carol, what Kiprono has.
Yeah, they are known to be 3 V's of big data. For instance, they go up to 5 V's if you read beyond. Yes, for sure. They're not just 3. There are more additional 2 V's. Yes, that's my area. That's good, Vincent, and I hope you pursue this to the end. And welcome to the club. You're right. They were not just 3 V's. There are many other. There are 2 more V's, additional V's. Is business intelligence TS and full data scientist. DS, I want to believe you mean data scientists, Joshua. No, these 3 are very different, although they are very they interact with each other at the same time. So business intelligence, you are trying to get hold of what the company or the business has and bring insights into it. A full data scientist is now that person who does that. They have quite been, would you please elaborate on them and how they interact? Thank you. Yes. So business intelligence is that process of acquiring that data, storing it, and coming up with insights. But of course, you cannot do that without the skills that for a data scientist. So the two interact. They have to work together.
We can get your final remarks from both of us. We start with Carol. Any final remarks as we conclude?
I think this is an interactive. It's a good session that we had, and it was interactive, and it was good to know that we can be able to provide information to those who are still in the universities to be able to know what is out here and manage their expectations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, James Kimotho.
Yes, thank you very much for organizing this session. Thank you for being our moderator. Thank you, Grace and Livingstone. I think this bridge, I've always seen this bridge between the university and the professionals, which is very important to have people noble like you who is bringing these two people together. And I believe the insights we have shared can help someone be able now to make informed decisions. I believe the time was not enough because I believe most of them would want to have asked more questions. I believe through this platform, Livingstone, you can actually be able now to get more, anybody with other questions or concerns, they can actually be able to address them later. Thank you very much. I wish them all the best in their careers. Let them continue pursuing, let them follow their passion. Follow the passion, money will follow you. Don't just follow money blindly. So follow your passion and everything else will work out for you. Thank you very much, Livingstone, and thank you for inviting me in this session.
Thank you very much, James. I also wish to now introduce our guest today. Maybe Grace, you can also give your final remarks as you also talk from the academia point of view.
Good afternoon, viewers and participants. I want to say a big thank you to James Kimotho and Carol. Thank you for the sharing you've had, and I believe the students and even the staff who are logged in for this live session have learned quite a lot. Now, as I said earlier, I represent, I'm a staff at Technical University. And there are so many students who are logged in here. So let's just be keen. Let's listen in to what our presenters and speakers have shared with us. And as we also strive to pursue our careers in IT and computing, let's not be blind to just focus in one line. Let's try and polish our line earlier. And the other last advice I would give to students is let's identify mentors. Let's work with mentors. So in this career journey, we need to, it's not good to walk alone. Identify a mentor, somebody who is superior to you, somebody who is already pursuing a career in the line that is of interest to you. Identify these people, work with them, find out what they do, let them hold your hands and guide you in this journey. So we'll be having related talks at least monthly for the computing students nationally in all the universities, both public and private. And we call upon new students to come in large numbers, ask questions, let's be open and interact openly. And even lecturers and other staff and colleagues from the industry and other domains, you are welcome on board. Let's build these students in the right format and mold them so that they'll be the voice that will represent us in future once we are gone. So thank you so much and have a blessed evening.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Grace. Thank you, Caro and James, for gracing our occasion. Mine from here is to thank all of you for participating. I'm calling upon professionals in all the industries to come and give in what I call the corporate career responsibility. Set aside some time. Me, I've already set aside 1 hour every day to make sure that I'm able to interact with professionals, with students, and engage them so that we can be able to for students. So this is not a show for students only. Many people are in our professionals from others as far as career is concerned. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Next time we'll feature another expert from another field, and again working with the women in IT to ensure that we are able to support our students. Thank you. Special thanks to the universities who tuned in. University of Nairobi, Technical University, Kimathi, just watching your alumni here.